My name is Trevor Allen and I'm an optical scientist here at StreamTech. Today we're going to be showing you how to set up and use your new LabFlow measurement system. First thing to do is to register your device to your company on the Stream Analytics website.
Log in and go to the Cloud Connect tab. When we get to the Cloud Connect tab, that is where you'll actually add your device using the serial number that's printed on the sticker on the back. That'll include some information like the serial number, the model number, and the password for the Wi-Fi network. Okay, so the devices have been added, and in here we'll go to view the details, including the PIN number that's going to be used to connect to our company account. Yeah, so right now you would be on your regular Wi-Fi network. It's what the Cloud Connect does is it actually has its own wireless network that we are going to connect to. Just look in your Wi-Fi networks on your computer, click connect when you find the one that matches the serial number of your Cloud Connect device. Here you will enter the 8-digit number that's found on the sticker on the back of the device. And now you want to open up a new tab, enter the serial number, :3000. So enter your serial number, :3000, and that's going to redirect you to the Wi-Fi configuration screen.
Now you'll want to connect your box to your regular Wi-Fi network, and we get to this page here that says to reconnect to that Wi-Fi network with our laptop computer here, and then we can click on this link down here to connect to the device, and then I can click on this link here to connect to the lab box again on the main Wi-Fi network. So that's a one-time setup step there. And now for every time you want to connect to the lab box, you'll just connect to your regular Wi-Fi network and go from there. Now it wants us to link the device to our Stream account. So we'll go back, and if you remember we had this PIN number in the View Details page. We'll just enter that PIN number to the link screen. So now our lab box, or LabFlow, is connected to our Stream Analytics account. We need to register the internal spectrometer to the account again. Just hit that register button. And we get this model select screen that pops up. This means that there's similar model numbers that are in StreamTech's database of supported spectrometers that will show up. So we need to choose the correct model number that corresponds to our LabFlow. And again, check the sticker on the front that tells you your spectrometer model to put into here. In our case, this is the Flame NIR. And just hit confirm. And now our device is registered and ready to use. So at this point now we need to set up a solution so that we can actually go ahead and start taking data with LabFlow and begin training on that solution. So when you want to make a solution, you need to go to the main Stream Analytics website. Go back here, and once you're logged in again there, you want to go to the solutions in the sidebar here. When you click that, you get 3 different options. There's public and private. These are already published, finished solutions that you can choose from. But we want to make a new one, so we go to the draft solutions. Here you'll find a list of all the draft solutions that are available at your company through your Stream Analytics website account. If you want to add a new one, hit this plus button in the top of the screen here. Now we get this basic information screen where you have to type in all the information about the solution you want to make. All these fields are mandatory, so you'll have to type them in. So at this point our solution is set up and ready to go, and we can connect back to the LabFlow box and start measuring samples. Here we've got two main windows. One is the main capture window. This is where your reflectance results will show as they're being measured. We also have the capture setup window. This is where you choose what solution you're training or what project you're using. Hit the refresh button to get that new data from the cloud. So before you start scanning, it's important to turn the light on in the LabFlow box for at least 20 minutes before your measurements start. This is to let the light source warm up and stabilize so that you get a nice consistent spectrum for all your measurements. First we'll need to begin calibration. We need to calibrate the LabFlow box using calibration standards. This is so that results measured in one LabFlow box will be applicable to other LabFlow boxes. So first you just want to hit that begin calibration button, and it will bring up window that's asking you for the first reflectance standard. The 0% reflectance standard is essentially blocking the light that's inside of the chamber. And you want to block the light and not just turn the light off, because turning the light off will basically cause the spectrum of the light source to destabilize, and that will cause problems with your scans and your results later on. So the LabFlow box is designed to accommodate these LabSphere reflectance standards. We've included 4 for this process. They're basically different. They reflect a certain percentage of light back over a wide range, and this way we can accommodate for any kind of differences in how the spectrometers respond to different intensities of light. So the first standard we need to put in there is a 2% standard. If you just look on the back of them, they've got a number listed there that tells you what percentage reflectance they have. So I'll just open this up. They're a little screw on top, so just take them out like that. You can see this one's a 2%, so that means it only reflects about 2% of the light back. Oh, make sure with these reflectance standards that you don't touch the reflective surface. This is because once they start getting dirty, they'll basically change their reflectance values. If you get some dust on them, you can clean them off with a bit of dry air. Don't blow on them because that'll just get moisture on them. There's a little slot that accommodates these. You just put that into the drawer like so, and then open the chamber, and again put it into the slot. Push it all the way back. So once that's in there, you can go and just go ahead and hit capture on the calibration window. You want to go through all the remaining standards in the same manner. Lastly, it asks you to insert a wavelength standard. The wavelength standard basically allows us to calibrate for any differences in measured wavelengths of the spectrometer, and it's also another LabSphere standard. LabFlow will start doing the math on basically the calibration that has to be applied to all your scans to keep them consistent. And now the calibration is complete. And just hit close, and we can start measuring our actual samples. Once you finish the calibration, you'll have about a half an hour before you have to recalibrate again. This limit is enforced because spectrometers have drift that can cause them to change in behavior over time, mostly due to temperature changes or other sorts of things like that. One thing though is the solutions. Basically, for each component, we enforce a minimum amount of scans to be 100. So basically the LabFlow box is designed to accommodate a petri dish of this size. And the light and optical collection path are basically optimized to measure at this sort of sample height. There's a rotary platform here. We'll just set the petri dish onto there and put that back into the box. Next thing to do is to turn the motor on so that the sample starts spinning. That's this switch here. And you can see that the sample is very slowly rotating. It rotates at a rate of about 1 revolution per minute. At this point you'll go to the main capture window and basically just hit this capture button, and scans will begin to be taken. Our scans will probably take you roughly 6 to 7 minutes. Once that's all done, you can go back to the Stream Analytics website and start training your solution. that you've created a project out of your solution that you trained, you can actually go in and now use the LabFlow to use that project to identify the samples that you're looking at. So now when we go to the capture setup window, we want to choose project instead of solution, and then choose the project that you just made. This one that we're going to be looking at is called Green Spice Recognition. And once again, you'll have to redo the calibration. These are the exact same steps as when you were doing the training of the solution. So now when you're looking at a project, you basically have an unknown sample that you want to identify. In this case, you have different dried green herbs and spices that we want to basically try and identify using our project. You can set the capture count to as many as you like. You should do probably at least 10 or so, just so that you get an idea of whether you're just getting lucky or just to see how accurate your algorithm can be. I'm going to just take a sample here, which is some mint, basically. We've trained on mint and several other herbs. And I'll put that into the LabFlow and measure it, and we'll see if the LabFlow can identify that it's a sample of mint. And since we're doing more than one scan, we'll want to turn the motor on so that this spins the sample. And I'll just hit the capture button in the main capture window. And it will take our 10 scans. Once those 10 scans are done, they'll be uploaded to the cloud, and we can have a look on the main analytics website to see what our results are. This page here will show a list of all the different solutions you've applied in your particular project. Now we'll just click View Details on the one solution that we do have. And we'll just scroll to the bottom where the newest scans should show up. And all these samples have been labeled as mint by the algorithm, and which means that it's basically correctly identified our samples. If you want to see how well it identified it, we can look in the View Details screen again. Here we'll see a plot with showing the spectral scan that we just took. It's been colored to match the component that it identified as, which in this case is mint, and we set that to be yellow and when we set up our solution. And then up here on the components, it's basically looking at it's looking for the components we trained on inside of that sample, and it's telling us how sure it is that it's found that component that it identified it as in the sample. And we can look here and see mint. It has decided it's mint with pretty much 100% probability, so that's a pretty good identification there. It basically labels the graph with the color, which is mint, and also a label saying that that is basically the scan is a mint.